Dear Dhamma friends, we have come to the second Dhamma discussion of this Kalalgoda English medium retreat. So I think we have some written questions. We will start the discussion with the written questions.
We have 9 questions altogether.
Yes.
Some meditation, some on Dhamma and some on yesterday's sermon.
Yes.
Venerable Bhante, as you directed yesterday, I paid more attention to the details of the breath. I noted that the moment just before the breath becomes non-existent, the in-breath is momentary and the out-breath is non-existent. In fact, thereafter I could only sense a minute in-breath and no out-breath at all. Also, the in-breath starts at a point below the nostrils and the out-breath ended way above that point. Another observation was, as the breath thinned out, the point of concentration localizes to a point between the tip of the nose and between the eyes. Example, with closer proximity to the eyes. I managed to observe the stillness for a few minutes. Please advise how to proceed from here onwards. Also, does milk tea at 4:30 in the morning constitute to breaking of the 6th precept? Much respect and gratitude.
So I think we'll answer the second question first. Food is much better than the meditation, isn't it? So typically the typical convention is we are considering, or rather we consider the beginning of the day based on the dawn time. So that is the typical Buddhist convention. That's what we follow as monks. So that we typically call as dawn time. So nowadays the dawn time is around 5:32, basically around 5:35. So basically monks and whoever on 10 precepts, 8 precepts can eat or consume any kind of milk and that kind of some food items after dawn time. So that is after 5:35, and it lasts till around 12 noon. So that is the time typically we consider that either say rice, milk, whatever some staple food can be consumed during that given time. So that is so if you are using that period, that is much better. So you have to wait another hour, not 4:30, maybe 5:30. You can consume milk. After 5:30, you can consume milk, and because milk is considered as a food item. And to come to the first question, so this refinement actually you can consider as an improvement in your meditation, because as your concentration improves, your focus attention improves. So as a result, the breath becomes subtler and subtler. So at the beginning you don't have that much of a refined, very precise information, but more and more you are continuing your meditation, your practice, then you would be able to understand, okay, breath has these very subtle differences. At the beginning, say for example, you might recognize the in-breath and out-breath has certain differences. And then there may be a gap between in-breath and out-breath, and again between out-breath and in-breath. And then again you might observe not only in-breath and out-breath, but even consecutive in-breaths has certain differences, even consecutive out-breaths have certain differences. So if you are able to recognize this information, that means clear comprehension has considerably increased. So you are able to recognize this subtle information. So this information can vary from time to time, as well as from yogi to yogi. So it's not a kind of a universal thing telling that, okay, your say the in-breath appears exactly above the nostril and below the eyes or something like that. It depends. It might vary even during the day. Say in the morning it appears like that, maybe in the evening it appears differently. So likewise it varies. So we don't need to have any kind of a fixation thinking. So every day, every time it has to happen like that. So have a kind of an open mind. Whatever is available, whatever it is happening, so we acknowledge it, we welcome it. So it's our duty is to maintain our attention wherever the information is available, wherever the touching is available. So that is much important, that's much enough. So no need to have any kind of a doubt whether the touching point has to be here or there or something like that. So typically in Vipassana there are several characteristics. Say for example, the in-breath itself is one object. Then the touching sensation is another object. So that is actually relevant to the nostril. And the result, that you are making some kind of a neutral feeling, that is the result. When this, say the external object, that is the breath, the air, and the internal object, that is the nostril, considered as the kaya, the body. And as a result of the impingement of these two, now you are ending up with getting a sort of a feeling. So that feeling is mostly a neutral feeling. Even that is all right. So these three phenomena are all right. Either you can recognize the different characteristics of the breath, or either you can recognize variations happening at the nostril, or even you can recognize the result. So when these two come together, there is a feeling arise. Typically that feeling is very mostly the neutral feeling, and you can recognize the differences in this neutral feeling also. So therefore it's all right to have any of this information, and we simply need to focus our attention on any of this information, because whatever coming forward, whatever is prominent is all right. This sound reduces, it seems. I don't know why. Is it? Can you all hear? Or to the back? Here? Okay, fine. Yeah, we'll go ahead.
Bhante, this has two parts, but both parts relating to her experience. So I'll read the whole thing at once.
Yeah.
Okay. Theruvan Saranai, Swamin Wahansa. I am a beginner to the regular meditation and find it difficult to keep the mind in the present moment. I felt better controlled in the morning sitting meditation, but the next one was a struggle. When one finds loose focus and difficulty in keeping mind focused on the present moment, what advice you could offer to bring it back? Part 2. I have read your book on Anapanasati and am reading for the second time in order to get the advices offered in the book regarding the mind. Appreciate if you could explain briefly, if possible, as to how this could be used when we progress through the beginning phase of the meditation. Theruvan Saranai.
So the first question is related to the distraction when the mind or your attention distract to various other things. How you are going to approach. So rather than interpreting like that, what you need to do when your mind is well concentrated. So, say for example, now mind is not distracted. At the moment, say in-breath happens. So at that time, try to maximize your experience. So wholeheartedly we are going through the in-breath, for example. So now we are trying to see as much as possible information related to the in-breath. So it is smoothly, slightly begins, and then that intensity increases, and it reaches some sort of a threshold, and then the intensity starts to decrease and ultimately totally disappear. Now you are observing as much as possible. So here is the key. In order to focus your attention, then say more and more mental energy being accumulated in this focusing. Assume that our energy is very much distributed. Now we are trying to focus it, collect it in a particular place, for example. So now say you are able to collect it at the say in-breath. So more and more now we are more and more energy being collected at the in-breath. Now say out-breath happens, you do the same thing. More and more energy get collected at the nostril. At the same time, after a while, say mind distracts. But this distraction, as well as when it is coming back, is out of your control. So, but more and more you invest time while you are under your, when the things are under your control, that is when you are capable of observing in breath, capable of observing out breath. That is your domain. That is where we can work. So more and more we are capable of observing that, more energy being concentrated there, accumulated there. Now less energy is available to distract. So then the distraction may not last long time. So that is the kind of an improvement. So we are, say for example at the beginning, so you only have less mindfulness. So only you can maintain your attention in the in-breath and out-breath only for say couple of breaths. But then it distracts and lasts say 10 minutes. But later you can improve, the mindfulness improves and you can maintain your attention on several in-breaths and out-breaths. So, but still mind may distract, but it may not distracted for long time. Now it may return within 5 minutes, for example. Next time again you can pay more attention on in-breath and out-breath. Again it distracted, but it may return within 1 minute, something like that. So therefore the working area is, the improvement is available when you are observing, but not when you lost your attention. Once you lost the attention, very much it is without our control. So it's a kind of a chance that we are coming back. Establishment of mindfulness happens when that distraction energy goes away. But once you are once the process is under your hand, so now you are again more and more maximizing that information, maximizing that opportunity, and maintain your attention on in-breath and out-breath, in-breath and out-breath. So more energy get collected. Now you have less energy to distract. So likewise you get the improvement. So hope I answered the question. There's another part to the question, or yeah, is there a second part?
Yeah, I have read your book on Anapanasati.
Yes. So basically, so Chittanupassana is something that we have to practice after having developed fair amount of mindfulness. That is what Buddha mentioned in the Anapanasati Sutta. In Chittanupassana section, Buddha recommends Chittanupassana only for a person who has fair amount of established mindfulness, established clear comprehension. So Buddha says, Naham bhikkave muttassatissa asampajanassa anapanasati bhavanang vadami. So he has mentioned this particularly in the Chittanupassana section. What he says is that I am not recommending Chittanupassana for a person who is having wavering mindfulness, who doesn't have well established mindfulness, and the clear comprehension, sampajanya, is not developed yet. Because when you are going to observe mind, so the content of the mind is more tempting. Content of the mind is very, attractive. So as you are looking at it, so if you have less mindfulness, you become sort of a victim to this ongoing process, ongoing thoughts, ongoing whatever the story, and mindfulness decreases, and the process, this chattering or whatever the mental thoughts increases. They get the power, and you become a victim of this process. So therefore Buddha recommends to develop fair amount of mindfulness using Kayanupassana and Vedananupassana first, and then you are very safe. Then you have some confidence, and with that confidence you can look at the mind, and you are very much like in a safe ground. Say for example, say you are going through a forest, and now you encounter some kind of a deep well, and you don't know whether the water is available or whether any animal is there or something like that, and there is no any proper protection is available around the well. So how are you going to check the inside of the well? So we have to maintain some kind of a precaution when you are looking at the well. So otherwise you will get onto the well. So something like that. When the ground is not well safe enough, so we have to be careful. So if the ground is well prepared, all precautions are available, then you can look at the well, something like that. So our mind is also something like that. So if we are not yet prepared, if we don't have enough mindfulness, so looking at it has some risk. But on the other hand, if we are well developed. We have fair amount of mindfulness and clear comprehension. We are now practicing Kayanupassana, Vedananupassana for a considerable period of time. We do walking meditation, and all these things are actually contributed to Kayanupassana. So with that skill developed, you can get into Chittanupassana. Yes.
Bhante, this yogini would like to explain further after I read this. Venerable Bhante, I have now been meditating for a little over 2 years. I practice daily for 1.5 hours to 2 hours. However, there are times that I have exceptions where I may not be able to do this daily practice for about 3 to 4 days. In general, I am able to be aware of what is going on inside of me. I don't strive to keep mindfulness in day-to-day things, but I have an awareness, a peace within me. However, at the times my daily practice routine is halted, sometimes I experience difficulties which are felt physically. During these times, the peace within is disturbed. I have a clogged feeling on my throat and feels like there is something very heavy on my chest. Breathing is difficult and I feel tired as if I have been climbing a mountain. When these difficulties are experienced, if I am able to regain the usual peaceful feeling, the general awareness, then all of those physical difficulties go away. Venerable Bhante, my usual way of meditation is either while Sakman or Pariyanka, I just be. Then the mind settles down. During both sittings today, the mind settled within a minute or two. However, from time to time, mind comes back and then settles in again. Sometimes there is a jerk when this happens. I seek your guidance humbly. Theruvan Saranai.
Is it yours? Yeah. Better explain more. So the one question what I have is now, so since I know about your practice, since you are explaining that, so right now are you simply trying to just maintain kind of an idle mind, something like that, and then allow the mind to behave and then look at how it behaves, something like that? Basically not doing anything and just keeping the mind and you are being aware and allow the mind to wander if it likes, and through this wandering you are trying to learn. Yeah. So now what is the problem?
So when I'm not able to, like, even in general, even when I have that peaceful feeling, most of the feelings I feel physically. Like like anger, if the anger rises, I feel it physically also. Like a lot of those things I can relate physically.
Correct.
Like so even this, like when I am not able to meditate for a couple of days, sometimes there are moments. It doesn't happen throughout, but there are times that it gets really difficult to breathe. Sometimes, like I feel like there's something really heavy on my chest. But the moment I'm back to that peacefulness, all of that goes away. Like it's not really a physical thing. It's I don't know how to, because then if I struggle, like if I try hard to get to that peacefulness, then also it doesn't go away.
Yes.
It just happens momentarily and everything else disappears. Then it's again back to that peacefulness.
Correct. So actually the approach is the same. Actually we should not try to suppress whatever the anger or whatever the other feelings. Rather we have to allow it to manifest and we have to observe it, and without feeding it we have to allow it to pass away. So that's typically the term refers as Nirodha Nissitang. So we are allowing whatever the things arising to go through its natural cessation, natural passing away, rather than trying to forcefully destroy it, disturb it. And on the other hand, so actually there are several approaches. So one approach is you can through the wisdom you can inject some wisdom to the process, understanding, okay, say some anger is available, so there is no point of say going through this, so no point of improving this and enhancing it, indulging in it. So you recognize you educate the mind about the consequences of going through developed anger, and as a result, mind may slowly come back. On the other hand, instead of looking at the mind, you can simply see the kind of a tension developed because of the mental process. So as you said, whatever the mentality we have, it has a connection with our physical body. So there is always, whenever mind grasps something, some sort of a tension being developed. So those are very tiny, very slight tensions. It may be sort of say wrinkles in the forehead, maybe your tongue being thrust upon the teeth, something like that. Various ways we are taking this push, we are taking this kind of energy. So when we recognize that, so we recognize it as a suffering, as something unsatisfactory. And so whenever we recognize that, only way to be free from it, even to have a kind of a relaxed physical posture. Say for example, I am taking some energy by thrusting my hand towards the knee. So I am looking at someone and he is trying to sort of challenge me, and then I am taking some thrust from my hand and then getting some energy. But now say if I come back to myself and recognize, okay, there is some physical discomfort available, some kind of a tension available. Now I forget about the mental side, but some physical discomfort is available. So in order to be free from that, now I am relaxing my hand. So whenever I relax my hand, as a result, mind also can't maintain that mental grudge or mental whatever the link towards this. So no problem at all. So therefore Buddha mentioned towards the Dhammanupassana, the four noble truths. That is the last section. So the four noble truths has the second noble truth. That is where say the first noble truth is the suffering, and the second is the cause of suffering. So when there is some unsatisfactoriness, some tension, some sort of discomfort, so then if we can fully recognize that, if we can fully acknowledge that, so that means we are working with the suffering, we are working with the dukkha. So once we understand it very well, then we automatically understand the cause also. And even if we don't understand, still we feel some discomfort when we are recognizing it, and we can simply recognize different parameters that how we are maintaining it, as I said, the trusting and all these things. And whenever we are releasing them, when we are relaxing them, again we are coming back to the kind of an easy zone, kind of a comfort zone. So all these approaches are all right. So either you recognize the mentality, how there is kind of the consequences of going through these mental effects, going through this anger and whatever the defilements are harmful. So you can recognize that and withdraw the mind. On the other hand, you can, instead of looking at the mind, you can look at the bodily discomfort, bodily tension, and you can release that tension. Physically, you do slight changes, very minor changes. So as a result, mind can't hold it. Mind can't maintain that defilement without this physical support even. So we have some connection, direct connection with this physical support as well as the mental defilement. So if you recognize the physical side, if you are discontinuing that support, then this also can't maintain, this also can't sustain, so that also will dissolve. So either way is all right. So different approaches are available. So whatever is convenient you can use. Yeah.
Because usually what I do is because I'm constantly seeing the mind, I understand the physical thing. But in this case, when I get that physical feeling, I am not able to see what in the mind is causing that. So therefore I can't let that go. So that's where I'm struggling, I think, because my general practice is to first see the mind and then I see the result of it in the body.
Right.
But here first I feel the result, but I don't know what's causing it. So, but then again, So today, like when I'm just being, then it goes away.
Goes away. So basically, more and more you have to come to the very ordinary level of practice. So very much like, say at the beginning we have a lot of hindrance power. So we are trying hard and developing fair amount of concentration and building up a lot of energy, building up a lot of wisdom. And through that wisdom, with a very heightened concentration, our mind get released temporarily. But what our practice is how to achieve this kind of a freedom of mind with less effort and with less concentration. That is difficult. So more and more we are coming back slowly. Ultimately we hit the ground. So it is very much like simply like a non-meditator, not doing anything. That is where we were. So we were simply looking here and there and just talking and all these things. Is there any difference, by the way? What's the difference?
It's more peaceful.
No, more peaceful, and again, mind is unbound. Mind is not bounded to anything. Because if we are in a little heightened state, heightened concentration state, still some tension is available. Because you are now focusing, you are selecting some particular region, mind becomes little focused, little narrowed, and as a result, tension develops. But when you are working on the ground level, so no effort is needed. So effort needed means tension. No effort. When you are working on the ground level, one risk is the defilements. Risk is we are not much protected. We are very vulnerable for the defilements. But if we are capable of handling defilements, then working at the ground level is the most comfortable area. Where no energy being used. The simple ordinary way of behavior, simply looking at, simply talking and simply working, but still mind is free. That's the key point. Mind has to be free, but no tension in the mind, no tension in the face, or you can't feel any kind of a discomfort, but working on the ground. Very much like a normal, ordinary, typical kind of a person. So becoming back, again going back to earthworm. Was an earthworm and went up to develop certain skills and coming back to the ground. Interesting. Yeah. Thero.
Dear Bhante, could you kindly explain the difference between samadhi and jhana? Is it something you experience when you fell into a zone with your mind is brilliantly illuminated with extreme pleasure and calmness? May the blessings of Triple Gems be with you.
Samadhi is typically a very broad term where different types of samadhi is explained by the Buddha. So, and different levels are available. Say you have the learning level, typically we call as learning sign, and some certain region is available that we are learning to concentrate the mind. And then there's another stage where in a kind of a neighborhood of the higher concentration, upachara samadhi. Then the mind, if you are maintaining such neighborhood concentration, you are in the vicinity of a higher concentration for a considerable period of time, when the mind becomes well balanced, faculties are well balanced, so then the mind can get absorbed to a particular object on which you are concentrating. So this is very much related to the samatha practice. So then mind can last or stay with that particular object, associating that, absorbed to that for a considerable period of time. At that time there is no any other object at all to the mind except this one. So typically it's a heightened kind of a concentration, absorbed sort of a concentration. So but on the other hand, samadhi is available in the vipassana also, where there is no one single object. There may be several varying objects, many objects, but you are maintaining unbroken mindfulness. So then and there you are maintaining your attention, maintaining your mindfulness. So typically it is called kanika samadhi, Momentary concentration. So that is most important in the vipassana practice. So it is not the idea of selecting one particular object and paying your attention for a long time till your mind get absorbed to it. So that is the samatha practice. But on the other hand, in the vipassana practice, the objects are constantly changing. Even the place of the object is changed, and you are capable of locating your mind, aiming your mind to that new object immediately, almost immediately. Say you are observing your body, various sensations happen in the body abruptly, you don't know where it's going to happen, and you are available, you are ready to immediately locate your attention, precisely aiming your attention on that sensation, and you are observing that. Assume it disappeared, then a new sensation happens at any other place in the body. Now you are immediately locating your attention on that new experience, new sensation. In between this transition, there is no any distraction. Again and again you are locating here and there throughout the body. There is no any other distraction. You are capable of focusing your attention to this necessary experiences. You have some certain domain of experiences you have selected. Say the feelings, different feelings, different sensations, and you are locating your attention on all of these. At that time, mind is very much focused, no inner chatter, and the constant mindfulness is maintained, and then and there, each and every object your mind being concentrated. So that is called kanika samadhi. So this also will lead to fair amount of understanding, fair amount of wisdom, and it also leads to the upachara samadhi, that is the neighborhood concentration. So therefore samadhi has a broader meaning, and again if you are going to further in the vipassana, say you might end up with even understanding how things are rising and passing away. There again mind can get concentrated, and again if the mind lets go all these information and get into some sort of a comfort zone, some sort of a freedom zone which has no tension, there is no any object, that's kind of a thing, then you end up with you may encounter some other type of concentration. So there are various kind of concentrations, so samadhis are available. So therefore jhana is one part of this story, one what typically available in the samatha side. But on the other hand, I would like to tell about Sayadaw U Pandita. There's a beautiful book written by Sayadaw U Pandita called In This Very Life. There he has mentioned even the vipassana jhana. So there are certain, now typically we consider 4 jhanas available in the samatha side, but he finds certain similarities in the vipassana development. So he defines certain vipassana experiences as the first jhana, certain vipassana experiences as second jhana, certain vipassana experience as third jhana, and another vipassana experience as fourth jhana. So likewise different meanings are available. So therefore it's a broader subject if we consider as the samadhi. Yeah.
Venerable Sir, may you be blessed for the valuable sermon yesterday. When I understood, in summary, what I understood was that you make karma in the present moment by thinking about past happy or unhappy events, and also make karma in the present moment by fantasizing or worrying about future events to come. These are all bad karmas. However, if you think about wholesome things done in the past and wholesome deeds planning to do in the future, it will enhance your good karma. Bhante, please correct me if my understanding is not in line with your explanation of the sutta. Also, would be grateful if you could elaborate on situations where we lay people tend to unconsciously strengthen bad karma thinking about past and future in the present moment. Theruvan Saranai.
Yeah, what you have mentioned is correct. So this the theory or whatever the statement is valid either for the wholesome side as well as to the unwholesome side. So we have explained yesterday only to the unwholesome side. Say there is some desirable thing has happened in the past, so it may be sort of causing the desire to arise, lust to arise. So mind likes to indulge in it. So more and more again we recall it, we renew it, revive it. So again the karma being generated. On the other hand, say you help someone, so some joy has arisen in the mind. Say you gave something to somebody, or you rescue someone from something or something like that. So you wholeheartedly experience some joy at that time. And once you, after several years, again you can recall that. So again you can rejoice that the good thing you did. So that way again you are accumulating new karma. So therefore it's typically mentioned, there's a pimpota. So probably you might have heard some people in the past, so when they do some meritorious deed, so they write it down. I don't know whether they are reading it. The typical advice is closer to the death, so they are going to recall it so that they get the interest. Well, Polly. So they did only a little thing, but now they are again and again recalling it and accruing the interest to it, and then you get more benefits with the accrued interest, and you get the promotion to the next heaven. So, but on the other hand, one important thing to remember is still we are bound to the samsara. So therefore Buddha mentioned in Sammaditthi there are two sides, Sasava Punya Bhagya Upadi Vepakka. So that is the first type, where you recognize, okay, there are results of the karma, you accept it. So if you do something good, there may be good results. If you do something bad, there may be bad results. So you accept this principle as a karma, and so that is why it is called Kammasakata Sammaditthi. Sasava means it based on the notion of I. So you did something good, I did it, I was there, I am the one who helped. And again after several years you recall it, I was the one helped. If I was not there, he was in a big trouble. So again I is in the picture. So avijja is there. It is being supported by these influxes. So the sasava, asrava is there. So you are promoting, by the way, some sort of ditti, sakkaya ditti, and punya bhagya, but it is wholesome side. Upadivepakka, in the future you may get good results, blissful results, some wholesome results are there. On the other hand, Buddha mentioned the other side of the sammaditthi, that is anasava, ariya, anasava, lokuttara, magganga. So there is something noble, there is something which is free from influxes, and which is far away from the typical worldly type. That is more profound, more into the supramundane level. So that is something as practitioners, if we can try. So where you did something, so it has happened. And so no storytelling, very much like things have happened. There's a beautiful statement, I don't know, I haven't read the Bible, but Bhante Dhammajiva used to tell that frequently, that Jesus has mentioned, you are giving something by one hand, even the other hand doesn't know. So very much something like that. So where you are not making I out of that action, rather you did it. That is as a result, as a cause and effect relationship, it has happened. That's it. And it has happened, you are not creating a self out of that act. You are not advertising, you are not expecting any kind of praise. You are not trying to promote yourself, a person out of that act, but thing has happened. So this is a very noble, very profound, and which leads to the other side, which leads to avoid influxes. You are not promoting a self-view. Instead, you are, in a way, it may be a meritorious deed, but there is no influxes. I making is not involved. Yes. I don't know, I answered the question completely. So what's the question? I partly answered, I don't know.
Would you please be grateful if you could elaborate on situations where lay people tend to unconsciously strengthen bad karma, thinking about past and future in the present moment?
Actually, after yesterday Dhamma sermon, a few things came to my mind. Actually, very, in a way, we all are in a helpless kind of situation. I was thinking that now say mother and father get a newborn baby. So how much kind of future plans get into this mother's mind? How much future plans get into the father's mind? How much thinking going on? They may be fondling the child, the baby, and thinking about the future, what kind of education has to be given to the child, what the name has to be given, and what would be the higher education, how would be the university, how my child get married, how I become a grandma, grandpa, all these things. Now we are in an entirely created world. In a way, very innocent, but lost the present moment. Lost the present moment. We are enjoying that. So that is the parenthood. But we are not very much mindful. We are entirely, we don't know what's going to really happen, but we are dreaming about something going to happen. More and more into thinking. Say you are going to your work, while being at work, you are recalling the, say, smile of your child, the smell of your child, how you are playing with your child, all these things. Many thinking going on. So these are simple activities. And say you are love with someone, as youth, says to become loving each other. So many thinking going on, many fantasizing. So I myself went through it, so I know it very much. So I ordained at the age of 36. So I went through many disasters by in this area. So I know how much thinking is involved. Extremely tiresome. And on the other hand, say one of your loved one passed away. What a kind of a memory going to attack you. Various things are happening to the mind. A lot of incident being recalled. Again and again you are recalling the past incidents, how you had a good time with that particular person or had a bad time with that particular person. So likewise, there are many incidents that troubling our mind. So it's not an uncommon thing. Actually, I can give you a very little example. Actually, you might remember the Dehiwala bomb blast, which has happened in the train. So one of my friend's sister passed away. So we went to that the funeral. So maybe she is the only the girl for that family. Very beautiful girl at the age of maybe 20s, late 20s. So her mother was now going around the burial ground and she can't even cry. So much desperate, a lot of despair in the mind. So almost exhausted. And maybe she might have cried at the very beginning, but crying made her extremely faded, almost tired. She's now in a very, few others were carrying her, holding her, and she is simply circumambulating the burial ground. And after about 6 months, she ended up with coma. And after some time, she passed away. So likewise, there are so many things So through thinking, we become really, patients. Really, sick by thinking. So therefore, incidents are happening. We can't stop that, but we get on to this kind of crazy situations, mad situation through thinking. You know the one famous story, what has happened to Patachara. So people go through various calamities, but through thinking they become sick. They become really upset. So if one can develop some amount of mindfulness, some amount of wisdom before we encounter these difficulties, that is where our practice help us. So that is why Bhante Dhammajiva constantly emphasizing the prevention is better than cure. So don't wait till a disaster happens to you. So when things are all right, we need to practice. So we have to strengthen ourselves when things are all right. Then when something happens, we don't know when something going to happen. When something happens, we have some resilience to come back. So that resilience is one major advantage of practicing mindfulness. So you can, with a short period of time, you can come back, you can recover. So that this resilience is much more important in our lives, because otherwise we completely collapse. So we have to develop these skills when we are all right, and then we are ready. And it is not merely concentration, but the support with the wisdom is available. And with that mindfulness, concentration, wisdom support, we can bear with these difficulties. We can cope up with these difficulties. Yeah.
Most Venerable Bhante, following yesterday's Dhamma discussion on memory, about our pleasant and unpleasant memories, may I ask you to kindly reflect on our memories on meritorious work done by us in the past. Is it okay to bring such memories back? Theruvan Saranai.
I think I answered the question, so the same answer has to be given. You can recall it. You can make more merits with the interest. Yeah, we can get into the next question.
Theruvan Saranai. Before we begin meditating, shouldn't we prepare ourselves over a period of time trying to at least suppress of our defilements, example, anger, jealousy, etc.? Is that what is explained in the Sabbasava Sutta?
Basically, the word suppress is not much being used. Rather, we are using certain antidotes to overcome that. Suppressing typically means things are there, you are trying to thrust it, you are trying to hide it. It is not the proper solution. Say, for example, in meditation, typical advice is, now there are four types of meditation, what we call as guardian meditation. Say if your mind is angry, no point of immediately getting to Anapanasati or that kind of a main meditation object. Rather you can associate, say, Buddhanusati, Metta, which again sort of an antidote to anger. If your mind being frustrated, may have some anger, hatred, then you can practice some amount of metta, loving kindness. So then mind becomes settled. So this is one way of handling it. On the other hand, say your mind is very lustful, so immediately get into Anapanasati is not much helpful. So at that time you can practice some amount of say Asubha, where you are looking at the loathsomeness of the body, and again mind becomes in the middle, come back to the middle, to the neutral position. Now you can get into Anapanasati. So likewise, there are different techniques we can accommodate to settle down the mind, come back, take the mind to the middle position. So this middle region is the most conducive region for practicing Anapanasati. But on the other hand, suppressing it is not the real answer. So there are these different techniques are there. Say for example in Vitakka Santana Sutta, so Buddha explains about 5 techniques. One technique is to use this antidote, say for the lust, the Asubha, for anger, the Metta. So likewise the antidote is available. You are replacing one type with another type. On the other hand, you simply neglect it and turn the mind to the other side, asati amanasikara, where you simply neglect it. And you may understand the disadvantages or the danger of going through this kind of thinking. Say your mind is angry, so you understand, if I am continuing in this anger, so I become really rough, really tough. My body start to burn, heart will burn. I might even use bad words. I might even hit the person. So likewise, you understand the effects, the danger, if you are continuing in this practice, in this kind of thinking. So by understanding these disadvantages, you can stop this wrong thinking. And I think the last method Buddha mentioned, okay, in a way it's kind of a suppressing. You are using your whole, even the body energy, to thrust that kind of a thinking and to stop that thinking. But most effective way of handling it is through the mindfulness and wisdom. That for that to happen, you need to practice fair amount of mindfulness and wisdom has to be in the vipassana practice, where you have fair amount of already developed mindfulness. So whenever anger arises, so you can simply be aware of this anger. Anger as anger, it is not my anger anymore. Instead, you are looking at anger as anger. Anger is looked at as an objectively. Objectively, you are looking at anger. Anger is anger. Anger is not lust. Anger is not jealousy. Anger is anger. So as a result, since you recognize it properly and you have well-established mindfulness, and you know fair amount of disadvantages also, danger of it also, and because of the power of mindfulness, this anger starts to fade away, and the wisdom and mindfulness play together, and the anger will go away, and that is how we have to properly handle anger. So this approach is the most suitable approach, but it may take some time to come to that stage. So till that, the various other techniques can be used. Yeah.
Kindly explain the difference of kusala and pina.
Kusala and pina. There's a big debate going on. I don't know. Still, it is continuing. I'm not much into reading this topic. There are so many papers are published on kusala and pina, but both are all right. So you can continue both pina and kusala both. Nothing to worry. But typically, kusala is the wholesome side, where you avoid the unwholesome. Say instead of killing animals, you practice refraining killing animals. Instead of stealing, you practice the donations. Actually, it has the refraining side as well as the development side. Say you stop killing, but still you are giving life to someone. Say you release the animals. So likewise, the productive side is also there. Say you stop stealing, but you, on the other hand, you donate. You protect the others' properties or their wealth. On the other hand, say you avoid sexual misconduct. Again, you protect others, whoever they are, children or whoever. Similarly, you stop lying, but you are telling the truth. And you avoid taking any intoxication, and you promote the mindfulness, having awareness, awakefulness instead of pamada. So likewise, there are the refraining side as well as the growing side related to the kusala. And on the other hand, there are so therefore Buddha has mentioned 10 kusala, 3 avoiding by the body, and then 4 by the words, and 3 by the mind. I hope you all know that, right? And then there are 10 punya that dana sila bhavana patidana pattanumodana veyavaccha apachayana Dittiju Kamma. So likewise there are 10 activities are mentioned as the meritorious deeds. Say you are giving, you meditate, you observe the sila, and you share merits, and you have proper wisdom, or that is you are getting to the proper understanding, sammaditthi, dittiju kamma. So likewise there are certain other aspects. So all are good deeds. So we don't need to struggle thinking whether it is a wholesome or that is a meritorious deed. Doesn't matter. Everything is much beneficial. So it's more into the academic side, that if you are trying to more precisely analyze what is kusala and the pina, so both are beneficial. Yes.
At what stage in meditation does one observe the constant changes in our body?
No, actually, that is where you are paying your attention, or you develop concentration to observe the body. Say in Kayanupassana, so even at the very beginning it is changing, but at that time our more priority is to develop a fair amount of concentration. Say for example you are observing Anapanasati. So breath is also constantly changing. So it is not the constant in-breath. In-breath changes to out-breath. Body is constantly changing. But we are not much aware of this change. Instead, we are trying to establish mindfulness. So that was our priority. But later, once we establish mindfulness and we are capable of maintaining our attention for a considerable period of time, now we are slowly looking at in a different angle. Okay, now there's an in-breath happens. Now this in-breath is not immediately happening, but rather it is slowly starting, changing, intensity change, and then it is completely disappearing. Then the out-breath happens, it is slowly begins, and then it changes and ultimately disappear. So we are observing the change. So breath is part of the body. Similarly, say you are observing various element characteristics. All are changing element characteristics. Say you are observing rising and falling, all are changing. So likewise, from the beginning they are changing, but we take it to our attention maybe after establishing some amount of mindfulness. So that may be the answer I would like to tell. I think that is the better way of telling it. Yes. Anyone like to contribute to that? Yeah.
Most Venerable Bhante, please advise how to practice Dhatu Manasikara. Theruvan Sarana.
Yes, so let's start from the very beginning then. Say example you do walking meditation. So at the beginning we are not into the Dhatu Manasikara, rather we into the conventional level. Okay, we are trying to maintain our attention on left foot, maintain our attention on right foot, left foot, right foot. Likewise we start. So our aim is to avoid distractions, rather maintain our attention as much as possible with this present experience. So we are even using these terms, left, right are some conventional terms that we are using, and even that being used, no harm. But later, say due to your practice, now mind is not distracting. At that time mind is now well concentrated on this experience. Now you can stop recalling this or the verbalizing this left right. Instead you can maintain a very quiet mind, but you are fully aware of this sensation, fully aware of various characteristics. Say when your foot is touching the ground, the foot feels some roughness, foot feels some dryness, foot feels some heat, coldness, maybe stiffness. Even when your foot is moving, you feel the movement. So likewise, various very primary, basic characteristics are available. So now they are not related to very much related to the language. Even a person who doesn't know language can understand it. Say for example, say you have a small child, he is trying to catch a flame. So immediately when he feels the heat of it, when his hand starts to burn, he immediately take it out. He may not know even a language, so he can feel it, he can know it. So this is where we are having a very quiet mind, silent mind, and with that silent mind, we are trying to be aware of these various primordial characteristics, basic characteristics. So typically for 4 elements, Dhamma mentioned about 12 characteristics. The Patavi, the earth element, has roughness, smoothness, heaviness, lightness, what else? Hardness and softness. And then the Tejo, heat, has cold and hot. And then Vayo has the movement, and again the rising, falling, this kind of a movement. And on the other hand, Apo, the water element, has the flowing, cohesion, and these are the characteristics. Now, whenever you can recognize any of these characteristics, that indicates the presence of these elements. Say if you are able to, say your eyes are closed, mind is not talking, mind is very silent, say your foot is touching the ground. At that time, say you feel this kind of a roughness, some sort of a roughness to your the foot, then you can recognize the presence of Patavi Dhatu, presence of earth element. Similarly, say your foot touching the ground and it might feel some stiffness. Again, you understand there's a presence of Patavi Dhatu. So likewise, so you can understand the presence of different elements. So actually you don't need to even give a name to that when you are coming to the well concentrated level. So mind is very relaxed. Then and there you are experiencing different characteristics, element characteristics. More and more you observe it, more and more different new characteristics you are trying to understand. And more you understand that it is not even, now you take it to the sitting meditation. You have well concentrated mind now, and your hands are touching each other. Even at this touching point, you might feel some kind of a heaviness. The left hand feels the weight of the right hand. Say both hands are touching, maybe each hand may feel the warmth of each hand. So likewise, still the element characteristics. Say rising and falling, still the element characteristics. Even the flowing of air in the nostril, that also element characteristics. You can look at in that angle once the mindfulness has established. And again, various different sensations or other element characteristics happen in the body, that also you can recognize. So the whole experience is now you are interpreting as element characteristics. This is not me, not mine, but elements are manifesting. Okay, at a time Patavi Dhatu come forward, at a time Tejo Dhatu come forward, at a time Apo Dhatu come forward, at a time Vayo Dhatu come forward. We don't know which one come forward. So then who has the control? Am I able to control this? I don't know when it is going to come, which one going to the front, and how long it will last. So likewise, more and more we understand it. So we will understand they are also transient. I don't know this, say I am feeling right now some kind of a cold, but I don't know this feeling, how long it will last. This characteristic, how long it will last. And I don't know which one is the next one. Next. Is it the hot or is it the stiffness? It is the roughness? I don't know. So likewise, all these characteristics are out of our control. And constantly they are changing. So likewise, we are educating the mind. So we recognize how impermanent they are and how unsatisfactory they are and how much ungovernable, not in our control, they are. So anicca dukkha anatta we are slowly understanding, developing. So and again you can put this understanding to the outside. So similarly, not only your body, even to the other bodies, even to the other inanimate things. So wherever available, whatever the physical world has these characteristics. So then the duality, in, out, that is internal, external also disappear. So as someone mentioned yesterday, so there is no internal, external. So there is this boundary disappear. So all the physical world has these characteristics. This body also has the same characteristics. So these elements doesn't know whether they are in a human body or whether they are in an animal body or whether they are in an inanimate object. They don't know. We are the ones, through our conventions, that we are given value to them. And we are the ones having trouble, but elements are just elements. So likewise, our this sort of wrong understanding will eliminate, and we come into some common understanding. Everywhere, the whole physical world is nothing but for elements. So more and more you recognize it, then you start to give up. Basically, mind starts to dispassionate about this process. Then slowly mind start to release. So this is how typically the Dhatu Manasikara lead to understanding. Yeah. Is that all? Yeah. So that's all we have as the written questions. If there is anyone has any other question, yes. Yeah.
Your word about the Pimpotha took me back more than 55 years ago to my Dhamma school.
Right.
Our teacher used to say that when King Dutugamuni was at his deathbed, somebody read the Pimpotha to King Dutugamuni. Anyway,
yes.
My question is, based on our simple principle of non-self, we should not be encouraging somebody to write the Pimpotha. Am I right or wrong?
No, I don't agree with you. So basically this non-self, we have to apply at the proper time. So what we need to understand is, so first we need to become good people, sappurisa. So sila samadhi basically involves there's a person therefore. So without such, we are not getting enough energy to become a good person. So we need to understand when there is I is available, then the karma is going to happen. So if I do good thing, I get good results. If I do bad things, I get bad results. So with this understanding, we are continuing. And then even we develop concentration with such understanding. Okay, I need to develop concentration. I need to have jhana, something like that. So this encouragement is necessary. But later, with the development of the wisdom, this sort of a non-self understanding comes. So that is actually very much like some advanced level technique. So we should not take that such techniques to the lower levels and mix up the practice. So if we mix up, then the whole teaching get sort of entangled. So therefore, there are certain wrong views thinking that, okay, if there is no self, then who is accumulating karma? So that's also a question, no? So we are ultimately telling there is no self. Then what's happened to karma? And that is Buddha saying that's a wrong view. Now there are such wrong views telling, so when you stab a person using a knife or something, it is simply a metal part going through some flesh. That's all. Yeah, maybe Sanjay Vellatiputta. So Buddha denies that, telling it's a wrong view. So basically, the teaching has very advanced topics which we have to use at the proper time. So this non-self teaching is applicable only when your mind has well developed to recognize. I mean, you have fair amount of mindfulness and fair amount of concentration available, and more observation is going on, and as a result you may understand, okay, things are not under my control. Things are basically has their own causes and conditions. So now, as a person, rather than I am interrupting the process, I allow things to happen. Now this is a kind of an advanced practice, kind of a matured approach. But at the very beginning, we can't get into such. If we being simply say killing animals, stealing, and all these wrong activities, we can't apply this theory and escape from the karma. Because whatever the bad activity we do, everywhere there is I available. We can't avoid it. Just the theoretical understanding of non-self will not stop accumulating karma. That is the issue. So I may understand there is no self, but when I kill an animal, I is in the front. I is operating there. So therefore, so the teaching has to be wisely used when it is appropriate. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Has value. Exactly. Has value. Exactly. So that's why, I mean, if whenever we do some good thing, we need to understand, say, all these wholesome activities. Actually, Buddha mentioned karma, the wholesome karma has two results. So that is giving the upadi vipaka, the good results in the future, and again it is causing to avoid karma. The wholesome karma has different benefits. It helps to give correct or good results as well as to stop accumulating karma. So that is the good part. But on the other hand, the akusala karma merely give bad results. It may not avoid karma. Yes, thank you. Yes. So all professors are trying to hit me, huh?
This is about the dhatu manasikar. Now in chemistry there are so many elements. Carbon, oxygen, hydrogen, and so on.
Yes.
Now, I'm trying to point out something good about our four elements. Because those elements, carbon, oxygen, hydrogen, and so on, we cannot detect.
Mm-hmm. We cannot detect.
We cannot detect directly with our senses.
Yes.
We cannot.
Yes.
Whereas the four Mahabhuta,
yes,
we can actually detect. Yes. So it's very good that we have those that correct, can be detected by human beings.
Yes. And on the other hand, there's a very, important thing that we need to understand. Actually, Buddha doesn't really want to get into a more intellectual kind of a understanding. That is what the scientists are doing today. They are going to more into the intellectual side and trying and going to the more, say, very precise, more atomic level and all these things. Never end. But on the other hand, Buddha's teaching, Buddha's approach is to have some dispassion towards the whole thing. Viraga is the approach. Viraga is the aim. So when he is telling, okay, this body has, say, body hair, head hair, teeth, the flesh, say, blood, urine and all these things, we can't tell that he didn't know various other components in the body. Now say the doctors know various things. But we can't say Buddha didn't know. But the approach he has taken by taking only these 32 parts and considering them as loathsome, what happened to the mind when we are reflecting like that? So mind develops some amount of dispassion instead of an attachment. So if the result is dispassion, then we can be satisfied with that approach. So similarly, when Buddha is giving, say, 4 elements, that may be enough to develop this, as you said, practically, some understanding about the body and to the physical world, and ultimately we get into the dispassion. And on the other hand, even though scientists are getting with all these atomics and electrons, protons, subatomic particles and all these things, they still kill each other, hate each other, and there is no wisdom. There is no dispassion. They are still in the world. They understand how transient these atoms are, but we can't tell they understood anicca. So that is the difference. So the scientific approach is completely taking in a different angle. Buddha is giving this information, this understanding to develop dispassion. So that's the beauty of Dhamma. Yeah. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Bhante, I'm sorry if I'm taking your time.
Yeah.
Yesterday, a yogi raised a question on sunyata.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and you explained beautifully what it is. But later on, it occurred to me whether you can explain another aspect of it, because I remembered Mogharaja Manava Pucha, Sunyata Lokang Avikasu. How do we look at Sunyata?
Yes.
The way Buddha wanted him to see?
Correct. So actually, the Sunyata is a very deeper teaching of the Buddha, and one has to actually practically experience it. We can have a lot of philosophical ideas about it, so that is merely the book knowledge. But if one can really experience it, say your mind is not attached to something, not holding anything, not considering anything as substantial, not considering something is some essence is available, but mind is empty. So then it has some practical approach as well as some understanding is there. So it may not happen merely by reading. It may not happen merely by thinking. Rather, it may happen through practice. Say, for example, typically, say you recognize all these elements are rising and passing away, constantly changing, and they are, very vulnerable, and all these things are slowly leading to dispassion, and slowly leading to, say, non-attachment, and ultimately the mind really leaves them away. Ultimately, mind lets go everything, and mind will come to somewhere where mind is not holding any of these things. So on such situation, mind is empty. It may be different approaches. Now that is where if mind is taking the impermanence as the key factor, where it can't recognize the nimitti, it can't recognize the signs. So it's so quick, so rapid, so you can't get the signs. So as a result, the mind becomes free. So what we call as animitta. On the other hand, constant change, this rising and passing away is unsatisfactory. It's constantly suffering. So someone understanding that approach, okay, it's constantly changing, it's always subject to this rising and passing away. How can I find happiness here? So then, even to the future, even if I wish to have a future life, even if I wish to have some future experience, still this is the same thing. So now the mind gives it up, thinking there is no point of desiring things. As a result, mind releases it. Again, mind lets go, because mind does not desire it. Now it is called appanihita. And on the other hand, now when things are constantly arising and passing away, then how can be an essence here? How can be a core here? How can be an ongoing eternal soul here? So by looking at that, if that is understood, again mind will let go by looking at the non-self. That is the sunyata. So that is how Dhamma explains it. So that is where one may practically touch sunyata. So that actually has to be further developed. That is where Buddha says, even this developed sunyata still is vulnerable. So you are effortfully maintaining it. You need fair amount of conditions to support it. Constantly you can't maintain this freedom, because whenever defilements come forward, again mind gets attached. Only temporary relief we have. Temporarily mind is free, but when defilement come forward, again mind attached. We lost the freedom. No more empty. Now one has to get into the eliminating of defilements. That is where Buddha mentioned in the Chula Sunyata Sutta.
Right.
This is the supreme sunyata, where the mind is utterly free from asavas. It is free from kamasava, free from bhavasava, free from avijjasava. Even a sign of kamasava is not available. Even a sign of bhavasava is not available. Even a sign of avijjasava is not available. Now mind is free. In the sense, mind is empty of any of the signs contributing to these asavas, influxes. Say, for example, you may temporarily experience emptiness. But whenever some kind of a sign coming towards about your son, about your daughter, that still is a sign.
Yeah.
Now again, say you admire that sign happened in the mind, and you start to think about that sign. Ultimately, you end up, oh, his son. Oh, whether he is doing well, or I need to call him, or something like that. Now you lost the emptiness, you lost the freedom. Now again, you are in the karmasava side. Assume situation, you are not getting entangled with these signs. So there are no signs coming to the mind. Mind is completely free. So even the anusaya, what you call the sanya anusaya, the latent tendency of appearing these signs are even not available. So then utterly free. Absolutely free. That is where the Buddha says this is the maximum. This is the maximum emptiness, the supreme emptiness that one can reach, and that is Buddha says this is the very much the arahanthood. Arahanthood. So it is where this freedom is complete freedom. Now the mind is completely free from the influxes, and there is no way of again mind get entangled to any of these say the objects.
Then they are only kriyasit.
We can consider like that.
Yeah.
As a cause and effect relationship, they may be acting appropriately, but not in a defiled manner, not in a indulgent manner. Yeah. So therefore, this subject is very interesting subject. So slowly. So as a result of vipassana practice, one's mind has to be free. One's mind has to be empty. Mind has to be spacious. Mind has to have some clarity. Mind has to be unentangled. So less signs are appearing in the mind. So that means mind has some freedom. So suppose if you can go back to your early stages of your meditation, say if you are not doing meditation, so many thoughts are coming, so many signs are coming, the mind is very corrupted. Mind is always being harmed, being tormented by various signs. But more and more vipassana practice help us to make it free. Less signs may be coming, and we are not much entangled with those signs, and we are maintaining kind of a dispassionate approach towards these signs, and slowly, that is where Buddha says, sanya virattas na santi gantha. When one is maintaining some kind of a dispassion towards the signs, so there is no entanglements. So likewise, as the mind improves or vipassana develops, wisdom develops, so mind has to be free. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I think we have discussed about 1.5 hours. Thank you very much for participation. And we'll meet again at around 4:15 for the Dhamma sermon. Thank you very much.